the site of the white-crowned shrike's nest that was blown out of the tree. In fact, the limb in which it was built was blown clean out of the tree. And I think I can hear them. I can still hear the birds. Let's see. So we're going to go and see. And if you haven't seen it, the nest came out of the tree. There were 2 youngsters still in the nest, 2 outside the nest on the ground, but the parents were still there. And so they may have been eaten by predators by now, or they may by some miracle have survived on the ground. They won't have starved to death because the parents would have fed them. But they may have shaken off this mortal coil. Here it is, everybody. Not here. No, sorry, round the next corner. I'll begin that performance again. I'm not hearing them anymore. I don't see the adults in the trees. Do I see the adults? No, I don't. And here it is. No, it's all been vacated, I'm afraid. Can you see a dead one? Underneath the nest. Oh dear. Yeah, let me go and look. Oh no, that's not a dead one. That's a piece of stick. Better that we didn't see it dead, I think. Clearly, they've been eaten, I'm afraid. I suspect a snake, a genet, a bird of prey. It could have been anything, really. Could have been a leopard. Came past and went, and off it went. Anyway, that's a sad end for the white-crowned shrike babies. Very beautifully designed nest of, I don't want to really touch it too much. It's very fine grass and it's wrapped in spider's web, and it's much bigger than the ones that I've seen before. And because they had 4 chicks, and as far as I'm aware, 2 is the sort of normal number. That's the only one I've ever seen before. But this one, I'm afraid, is no longer, so a rather sad end to the white-crowned shrike's story. More depression of the day. I am very sad that I missed Herbert's performance as a sangoma. I imagine it must have been quite spectacular. I'm told that his accent was quite amazing. That's marvellous. Alright, our next port of call is going to be Beefleshoek Dam. We'll see what we can find at that end of the world. I'm really getting a little distressed by the lack of heartbeat that I'm able to find out here. I might have to resort to trees fairly soon. Oh, I think I saw a hornbill. Good heavens, look at that. There's a hornbill. Dan, you're asking about the strangest looking animal that we get here. Well, the strangest looking animal we get here is Byron. He is by far the strangest looking animal in the entire Lowveld. And so when next you see him, you can marvel at his strangeness. And of course it's very unkind and is not true. I would say that the strangest looking animal out here, and you're not going to think of this, is something called a whip scorpion. And while Craig shows you that yellow-billed, horn-billed juvenile, probably less than 2 months old, as it preens itself, I'm going to show you a whip scorpion, because I have to tell you, it is the most chilling thing you'll ever see in your life. That was the cuckoo flying by. A whip scorpion, which is not in fact venomous at all, but it is a beastly looking creature. Where is it? Here it is. There is the whip scorpion there. It is entirely harmless, but look at it. It's all legs and spindly things on the ends of their legs. It's like a spider with pincers, basically. Now, that can be up to 1 inch long, sometimes even bigger, but they are really fairly vile. That is, for me, the strangest and oddest looking creature out here, the whip scorpion. In terms of mammals, I suppose the most specialized design, other than the cheetah you've been looking at, because the cheetah is an enormously specialized design. There's a little bird up here, but ooh, it's going to be a challenge, Craig. Let's try it. But in terms of mammals, I reckon the most over-specialized, I guess, would be the pangolin or the aardvark. Ah, thank you for nothing. I think it was a blue waxbill. And an aardvark, of course, totally over-specialized into with this long snout and very sticky tongue that it uses to eat termites and ants. And because nothing else is evolved in the same way, it's the most odd-looking. So if we look at all the carnivores, they're pretty much the same design, really. Big teeth, quite fast, lots of claws, yellowish fur, some case spots, some case not. But you can basically see, I mean, if you see a lion and then you see a leopard or a cheetah for the first time, you know that they're going to be carnivores, that they eat the same kind of thing, because the design is very similar with sort of slight modifications. But something like an aardvark is on its own. It looks completely different from anything else out here. Nothing else has evolved the same strategy to eat termites and ants. And so for me, I guess something like an aardvark would be the strangest looking mammal that we get out here, other than the whip scorpion, which is well, it just gives you shudders, really. Completely harmless thing, totally has a right to life. It's one of those biting flies on my hat, Craig. I've been savaged by biting flies all afternoon, and they're making me very cross. I guess a pangolin also would be a strange-looking creature. Same reason as the aardvark. It's the only one that's got those scales for defense. It's also got a long, sticky tongue, but not the same nose. Completely different. Well, that's a good one for the same reason. And Indiana James, what a very good name that is, you say a giraffe is probably the strangest looking animal. Exactly, same reason. It's the only one that's evolved into, with that ridiculously long neck so that it can reach a food source that nothing else other than the biggest elephants are able to reach. Oh, Biffleshoek Dam, not too... Oh, my goodness gracious me. Craig, just quickly turn. Turn around now. That way. That's it. Now I'm going to reverse. Oh, there they go. Ah! Can you see one? There we go. Oh. Oh, they were sitting so close to the road, everybody. They were African hawk eagles, 2 of them, waiting to hunt on the ground here, and I knew that as we came back towards them they'd fly off. That's because I was just a little bit slow in spotting them. That is how the afternoon's gone for me, really. It's a pity. We might come back around at some stage. Anyway, let's keep going towards Biffleshoek Dam. Maybe something will be there. At least we'll be able to see an Egyptian goose. But while we do that, Byron is with one of the most over-specialized carnivores in all the world.
I am indeed, James, and they are specialized carnivores because of the speed that they have, and they are not using the speed at the moment. They're fast asleep. That's what they are. They're not really moving at all. They're resting, and I don't think they're going to move anytime soon by the looks of things. They're staying out of the wind. Now, cheetah usually do move around during the day. They will rest in the afternoons and move around again, but then they generally go and lie down somewhere and rest in the evenings. They're not nocturnal. They don't move around as much at night. You might get them moving around, but in these areas with all the other predators around like lion, hyena and leopard, the cheetah will probably not be active at all. They'll just find a clearing, stay out there, and tomorrow morning early they'll probably start moving around again. So I'm assuming they're going to hang around in this area. Trevor, that is a good question. The success rate of cheetah when it comes to hunting is actually very high because they rely on their speed and they're not ambush predators like lion and leopard. So they are more successful. They're probably around 60 or 70% when it comes to hunting, if not more, or successful when it comes to hunting. Not quite as successful as the wild dog, who's probably the most successful. Almost 80% success rate when it comes to hunting for the wild dog. They are very efficient hunters, 80 or 90% even. They're very efficient hunters. But the cheetah are up there. They also good strategy, but just the sheer speed is incredible. So their success rate is quite high. It's still quite windy, very windy. Temperature is actually dropping quite a bit. You can probably hear all the wind in my microphone. Now, Rob, you want to know why we can't get closer. So the only reason, Rob, is because these cheetah are just south of the boundary of cheetah plains. They're on Mala Mala, the neighboring property, and the vehicles from this north. So Mala Mala is considered central Sabi Sands, right in the middle, and the northern Sabi Sands are these areas that we are in at the moment. Now there are obviously various landowners. Now these properties, and that's what makes it so wonderful, because it's a completely wild environment, and there are no fences. The animals can move wherever they want, but obviously the vehicle movement over properties and traversing is controlled by landowners, so we just are unable to cross over onto Mala Mala, but they can't cross over onto our side, and it's purely to manage the amount of vehicles that move over the land. You can imagine if people just drove all over the show and wherever they want, you'd have a lot of chaos. So that is why we don't drive on their land and they don't drive up here. And it's just a way to manage it, but the animals can move wherever they like. So that is the one benefit. And fortunately for us, we've got these amazing cameras with these wonderful zooms, so we can see a lot better from this position than some other vehicles perhaps. James, these cheetah would most likely attack another male if they came into their territory. They are territorial and they do fight. Now, it's not... Excuse me. Oh dear. No, it's not very aggressive. Sometimes it's more of a show than anything else. But they will fight, and they will definitely either try and chase the cheetah out, or maybe injure him quite badly. So that is why, again with the coalition, it's a bit easier for them to keep out any. They can keep out any other competition rather, and that's the thing. Out here, to have territory, a large territory, that's success for them, and to have offspring. Nice to see them. I'm actually going to leave these cheetah now, I think. They're not moving too far, so it was wonderful to see them. And like I said, I think they're probably going to stay there now. So it was a lovely surprise. Very, very nice. Now, Tayla seems to be holding something in her hand. I don't know what it is.
Luckily, I know what it is, Byron, and I'm sorry that you can't see what we're holding, but we are looking at marula nuts. Now, this is the entire seed, and we found them just like this. I suspect, well, we've all come to the conclusion, we think it could be an antelope that had put it in its mouth and was chewing away on it and just eating all of the flesh. And now an antelope, unfortunately, wouldn't be able to crack open this very hard seed, which you can see Herbert has done a sterling job of. He used a stick and he crushed them all open. Oh, look, there's termites in here. Look at that. Did you see the termite? It's just gone inside. You see him just moving around in there. There he is. That is so amazing. I didn't even see him in there. Don't eat my nuts. I was wanting these ones. And I haven't had a marula nut in such a long time. But I suppose this is a good thing for a termite to take back. I'm sure that the bits of the seed must be absolutely delicious. It is hard at work. I don't know where it's come from. That's amazing. But I'm going to try and, well, not eat the termite. We'll not eat him. Let's pull this out. Now, my hands are filthy. I've been on the ground. I've been searching for all sorts of things and digging, so I apologize. They're not very clean. My mom would be super unimpressed. Chandra, I know you want one. You want one? Bit of debris, and it tastes like a walnut. Did you get a crunchy one? That one had all the termites in. No, I'm joking, you didn't. But they're so delicious and they're so nutritious. And something like this, the squirrels, the little pouched mouse, the 4-striped mice, or 3-striped mice, all of the different species of rodents out here will be looking for these seeds. And that's what I'm looking forward to next, is as the fruits start to disappear, we're going to see them collecting. Ooh. No, sorry, I just wanted to hear that. I couldn't concentrate chewing and listening to a question. I found that exceptionally difficult for a moment. But we're going to start seeing all the little rodents and things, collecting them and then burying them. And then at night, it's my favorite to find some, digging in their stash, looking for them, sought out to get these sought after prizes, these beautiful, tasty nuts, full of protein, of course. Now, Reese, you're wondering if we use any plants out here back in the kitchen? We don't really. We just eat normal food. We're slightly normal sometimes. I think that's probably the only normal thing about the people that work for Wild Earth is the food that we eat. You probably all eat exactly the same thing. But no, it's just out here that we pick up the most random things and we will eat them. But Herbert, every now and then, his wife Penny, she'll often make us quite a few different delicacies. We had wild cucumber leaves the other day, which you can make a type of a spinach, and it had tomatoes in. They were quite bitter on those leaves, so we've tasted that. And we're always waiting. We always say to Herbert, whenever Penny makes something, please make a little bit extra so that we can taste the local delicacies. And then, of course, there's all the caterpillars and grasshoppers that you can feast upon. But I'll probably give those a skip and leave them to Steph to eat because we know he enjoys them so much. Now, James has got to one of my favorite watering points. He's at Biffle's Hook Dam. I wonder if the 3-banded plover that we saw this morning is still wandering around the edge of the water.
That girl's a psychic, I tell you. 3-banded plover it is. There it is, right there, 3-banded plover. Now, I've decided to suck the marrow out of absolutely every piece of Biffle's Hook Dam, so I'm going to see what else we can find you. There's the 3-banded plover, looking for little snails and other invertebrates to eat, little water boatmen, and perhaps those spiders that like to live on the surface tension of the water. Some worms, grubs, that sort of thing. A very reliable fellow, the 3-banded plover, always here, along with, of course, his favourite friends, the Egyptian geese, all of whom have deigned to be here with us. There, the 2 of them are. Very nice, looking quite contrite and quiet about the day. It's been a bit windy, relatively chilly for a summer's day. So that's what else we've got here. Then, what else? Oh, there's a dove. Good grief, look at that. Dove's just landed behind them. Karen, you're wondering about what eats the geese and why they look so calm. Is there nothing that eats them? No, we'll just that's even better. Go in on that one. Karen, I'll get back to you. That's a sandpiper. Well spotted there. That be the wood sandpiper, as far as I can tell from this distance. Pretty sure that's what it is. Very nice, Craig. Karen, interestingly, they're actually pretty disgusting to eat, apparently. I've met one person who's eaten them and says, well, if you mince the breast and mix it with a whole lot of other stuff, it's actually okay. But largely, they are inedible to human beings. But they're not inedible to predators out here. That's, I think, half the reason they're always at the water's edge. Yes, they're trying to feed here. But we know that the cats out here are not very partial to water, unless you happen to be Hosanna, and so they avoid being eaten by cats. They're definitely alarm call at fish eagles. I don't like to be around fish eagles, and they keep an eye on them. Fish eagles will take birds from time to time. I mean, there's that wonderful shot, I forget exactly which documentary it was in, but of fish eagles actually taking flamingos. So fish eagles will take them. Other big raptors will take them as well. But I think other raptors are also a bit nervous about being too close to the water or trying to attack something in the water for fear of getting their feathers inundated and then finding it very difficult to take off again. The laughing dove, which is a bird we don't give enough credence to, is behind the left-hand Egyptian goose. If you come straight back and slightly to the left, you'll see it there. You see it there, Craig? If you zoom in there, yeah, just quietly go in there, down and right a little, down a bit, down, 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 down. There we go, you got him. In the left-hand side of the screen. That's him. The laughing dove. Humble bird, peaceful bird, looking for grass seeds in amongst the mud. And this dam is now drying up again. And the last time it dried up, of course, it left with it hundreds, if not probably thousands, of tilapia and, of course, catfish. And their bones littered this place. And I don't know if you were with us on Christmas Day 2 years ago, but Andrew Francis was still working for us. And he and I came along here, and it had all kind of got all dry, but it was quite muddy still, and there was an Impala ewe and her lamb stuck in the water, or in the mud. So we debated a long time and decided, as it was Christmas Day, and given that this is a human sort of, I mean, one hesitates to say catastrophe, but it is a human intervention in the wilderness, we decided to rescue these things. And so we walked in thinking that would maybe sink up to our knees and be able to just kind of pull them out. It turned into a massively painful exercise, because all strewn through the mud were these pin and razor sharp bones of all the fish that had died, and we came out of there with cuts and spikes all over our feet, our legs and our hands, as we had managed eventually to get these hapless antelope out of the mud, and they all ran off, and we went home feeling quite good about ourselves. Anyway, that is my story of Buffelshoek Dam, and I think we've probably milked Buffelshoek Dam for all it's going to give us during the course of this current afternoon. I think we'll head on. I do see a romantic game drive going on behind us there, just two people, his and hers, very nice. That's from Buffelshoek. They should be on Buffelshoek currently looking for the lions. Oh, hang on, there's another bird. Brendan, I suspect your question comes from some sort of knowledge of gorilla trekking, perhaps. I didn't actually see anything there. Your question is a good one. You say, how do we protect the wildlife from all the diseases that must be going through here with all the traffic? I'm assuming you're meaning the human traffic that goes through here. with the gorillas and that sort of thing, the reason that we have to be so careful is that gorillas are genetically very similar to us, which means that they're susceptible to many of the same diseases that we are. So a human being that is carrying some kind of influenza, or perhaps, I don't know, some other kind of fungal infection perhaps, that can be passed on to gorillas. And so if you're sick, you're not allowed to go near a gorilla in the wild. But out here, we don't have primates that are close to us, and very few of the animals here would ever suffer from the same diseases that we do. Something quite fun on the ground here, but it was also quite camouflaged. And so we don't worry too much about the human diseases that could get transferred to the animals here, because I think there are almost none. Also, humans have been in this area now for, say, probably close on 1,000 years, and that means that the animals and the humans here have become fairly inured to each other. There don't seem to be great zoonotic diseases that travel between us and them and us. I mean, the most obvious zoonotic disease, of course, is rabies. That would come from animals to us, but we can't. We could give it to animals, but of course, if we have rabies, we tend not to bite animals too much, and so they tend not to get it from us unless they eat us when we've got rabies. And then in terms of airborne diseases, yeah, I think they're just probably in much the same way that domestic animals are resistant to, say, our common colds and flus, so these animals here just aren't affected by the same ones. It's actually a really good question, and I don't know enough about zoonotic diseases to be able to say, or about zoonotic transfers of disease, so the diseases that cross the barrier between human beings and other animals, to say whether or not our flu or our colds, or say our chicken pox, for example, or herpes viruses that sit in our bodies, whether they can transfer to humans or at least to animals. But we do know, for example, that tuberculosis, human tuberculosis, doesn't affect animals. The bovine version does, but it's not the same thing. And in the same way, the bovine version of tuberculosis doesn't affect us. I hope that sort of answers your question. It was a good one. We continue our search. Right, Tayla thankfully has managed to find something. I don't think it's got a heartbeat, but it's certainly got sap coursing through its veins.
We have an acacia, and something that I've realized is that we've been talking non-stop about the various chemical defenses that insects have, that plants have. We haven't really focused on natural sort of weapons that are right there out in our faces, and I think the acacia is the perfect example of a weapon that it has, of course, to try and defend itself, and that is in the form of these beautiful big white thorns. Now they're hollow. You'll often find them broken like this. I'm actually just going to bend this one down. See that? Now that's been hollowed, and I think that there were some ants or something living in there at one point. It's quite typical to see ants living in the thorns of the acacia tree. And what they will do is they will protect the tree and in from little aphids and things like that. And in return, the ants can get a beautiful gum, which all the acacias have, which is quite lovely and sweet. So if you were to make an incision, you'll see the sap coming out and you can eat it. It's tasty. I think it's the most tasty of all the sap. It's quite sweet. And then, of course, the tree provides them with a home. And then I found something else. Look at that. These are little jewel beetles, and they're feeding on this acacia. They're everywhere. Look, they're even up here, Jeandre, in these leaves. And they are beautiful. Now, you can see there, here we go. I'm just trying to not get pricked as I do that. Can you see them? There are lots of little ones all over this tree. And they're feasting away. They've actually eaten most of the leaves, and these poor little leaves are desperately trying to come out as quick as they can. But I think as quick as that they are growing, these little beetles are feasting upon them as well. And it's amazing how just one little tree, you can have ants living on it, you have these beetles. But I don't think that the ants are here anymore, because I suspect that the conditions of living in this tree would mean that you'd have to get rid of a tiny little insect like this because it's causing the tree harm. I'm going to try and put this little beetle back on, but it's pretending to be dead. Don't be dead, just... no, dropped it on the ground. Okay, well, I'm sure it will, once it wakes up, it's just pretending to be dead. It's obviously quite nervous of me. I'm sure that it will find its way, it will crawl its way up with no problem, and it will go back and join the family feast. Where's Herbert? Let's go back around this way. It's a bit thorny that way, and I think it's sometimes easier to walk on the animal pathways. Now, John, you've actually asked a very good question. You said, do we ever trim the bush? We do indeed, especially on the roads that we've created. As you can imagine, when you get your first rain of the season, the vegetation just bursts and it's green and branches crawling everywhere, trying to get to the sunlight. And then, of course, they creep over the roads. And the elephants often push things out on the roads. And what we have to do then is you take a panga or a machete and you chop away at the branches. I've done it a couple of times. And we have to maintain them, of course. Oh, I'm watching Jandre, and he's doing the most amazing footwork trying to avoid all these sticks and plants. There's lots of them. But like what you see in here, exactly like this. This is not put here by us. I'm on an animal pathway. So this is probably from an elephant. Look at the ends of that. You see how they've ripped it off? Nothing else will be able to rip a branch off like this, and I suspect the elephant was probably trying to eat the cambium layer of the bark during the winter months. Off of the bush willow, they finished what they needed, dropped it, deposited it on the floor. If this was in the middle of the road, I'd probably pick it up and push it to the side. But yes, have to trim a couple of trees. And another thing is, remember, we've been talking about a lot of bush encroaching species. So some of the acacias can take over areas, though they're quite good to have around. So you don't really want to trim them too much. But lots of the other vegetations, you'll of course have to go around and cut them down just to, well, remove them. Slashing, very important, especially for that tall yellow thatching grass. I mean, yellow thatching grass can grow to about that tall and take over complete open areas, and that's not really good to have around at all. Nothing really eats it, and I've mentioned this a few times. It's just the broad-bordered yellows, the butterflies that lay their eggs, and that's it. And then that's all that they do. Otherwise, it's just a bit of a pest for me. Now, Jandre, be careful. There is a log behind you. I don't want him to fall and step on it, because that would be treacherous. Now, we've got this large fruited bush willow, but it's still quite small. It actually looks like it's been dwarfed by the elephant. You can see it started to grow at one point, and every time that it reaches out, you can see these branches are now trying to creep. Watch when winter comes. There's no more grass, there's no more nice leaves to eat on the marulas. They're going to start coming back and feasting on these bush willows. They again are going to snap the branch. What was that? Did you hear that? I just heard a grunt or a groan or something, and I'm not sure what it was that I heard, but we're just going to keep an eye out. I don't know where Herbie is. I think, Johnny, let's just go back this way. I don't know, I've just heard something. It could be Herbert, maybe he's making all sorts of noises, but I don't particularly want to hang around to really find out if something is going to come charging through. So in a situation like that, you're out in the bush now. I'm going to keep talking loudly because there's no point now trying to hide myself. It can hear me. The wind is blowing down to whatever was down there. So we'll just keep moving and put a bit of distance, put a bit of shrubbery between us, and of course keep watching over your back. Now the best bet would be to head to a safe place. I don't see any big termite mounds, so the next thing to use will be a marula tree. So we keep heading, and this is what you've got to do. When you feel, or if you've spotted something and it's coming towards you, just put something's here. I don't know what it is. Herbie's there. You haven't heard it. Chandra's got headphones on, of course he wouldn't hear. But there's a grunting noise. I don't know if it's a warthog or what it is. I hope it's a warthog. We're going to not waste any more time down there. We'll just keep moving this way. I'm putting things between us. Big marula trees, fallen over trees that the elephants have pushed over. Anything that you need, put it in front of you. we're going to just try and move out of this area. It's very thick here, and like I said, not sure what's lurking in the bushes. We're not going to try and find out. That would be a little bit silly. So we're going to make our escape, and we're going to send you back across into Byron's vehicle.
Oh dear, just be careful, Tayla. I don't know what you've got there. Don't want a buffalo charging out of the bush. Now I'm just driving again through Cheetah Plains, heading back towards the boundary. Excuse me, and trying to see if we can find anything else. Now this is a lovely big termite mound. Just seeing. Have a look at how large this termite mound is next to us. This is incredible. Have a look at that. Now imagine how old a mound like that is. Now I'm just going to go stand next to it quickly just to give you a bit of perspective of how large it is. There we go. Look how large. I mean, that's incredible. Now, I wonder how old a mound like this could be. This must be, I don't know. I mean, it's got to be close to 500 years old, 1,000 years old. I don't know. It's incredible. I mean, it would have taken years to build it to this size. Doesn't look active. I mean, there's a lot of vegetation growing on it at the moment. But that is massive. Really fascinating creatures, the little termites. Now, don't forget, for those of you who missed this morning, and Byron's tip of the day, and, oh, excuse me a second. Go ahead, Mark. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mark. Now, hang on a second. Listen to this. I've got a surprise for you, everyone. And I'm very excited. Sounds like not far from us. There is a surprise. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's not too far. By the sounds of things, just back down the road, actually, on the other side. Anyway, tip of the day, as I said yesterday, it was be prepared. Always take the correct clothing with you. Even in summer, make sure you've got warm clothes, and then because you could have something or weather like this, and then. Stay hydrated. Always drink water when you are out on safari, even in winter. A lot of people don't drink water and they get headaches and feel nauseous. They get dehydrated very quickly. Okay, I'm going to head to the secret. While I head there, let's go back to James. He's got a butterfly to show you.
It's not just a butterfly, and I'm going to sit very still. There are a whole lot of citrus swallowtails in that gorgeous stand of chlorous grass. Look at this. Now we've got very little signal, so I'm hardly breathing here. How gorgeous is that? I have never seen anything like this. I don't know why there's so many here. I guess there must be some kind of mating frenzy going on. And I think they've been eating the grass seeds, or certainly perhaps sucking at the nectar that is perhaps in those grass flowers. Isn't that amazing? And when we arrived here, they were fluttering about all amongst the grass, and it just made you want to go and lie in amongst them and have them fly over your head. Look at that. This is a perfect arrangement of colours. There are two of them seemingly trying to mate there. And please try and take a few screenshots here. I'm sure you'll enjoy that. I mean, what a wonderful example of how we can go from those brilliant cheetah, and you're shortly to have another wonderful surprise with Byron, all the way down to this scale where, although not perhaps as iconic, equally as spectacular, the citrus swallowtail, making new citrus swallowtails in amongst the chloris grass, which is 100 different colours of green, a little bit of yellow, some pink, and then amongst them those butterflies of gold and black and little blue eye spots. How very, very special. Now, I daren't move an inch, so we're just going to wait here while Byron gets to your special surprise and enjoy these butterflies. Right, Byron has already managed to get to his special surprise, so while you consider his, shall we say, I'm going to say less than inspired tip of the day, let's head across to his surprise, which will inspire you, no doubt.
I'm sure this will inspire everyone. James, have a look at this. Some of the other vehicles managed to find a young leopard cub in a tree, and this leopard cub belongs to a female leopard who is on the other side of the tree. Now, this is not Karula. Have a look at that. You see that female draped over the branches? Isn't that incredible? Now, I understand that this female leopard is Thandi, who, if I'm not mistaken, is Karula's cub, her oldest cub. Is it not? I stand to correction, but I think so. I think I heard James say something about that the other day. And isn't she beautiful? Now, this is a perfect leopard pose. It's not often you do get leopard lying in trees like this. People do think that they do it regularly, but it's not always the case. But these young leopards are enjoying this tree, and have got a perfect spot for it. Wonderful branches, large branches. This is very, very special. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. Just keeping my voice low because I don't want to disturb them. Even though they seem fairly relaxed. Oh, look at that. Now, I'm not sure if some of you could perhaps help me here, because this is the first time I've seen these leopards. So, is this cub a young male or female? I must be honest, it looks like a young female to me. But maybe you can give me some tips on them, or give me the answer. Those of you who have seen these leopards before, do you know who or what Thandi's cub is? Oh, look at that. That is very, very special. Those beautiful eyes peering over the branch. That's incredible. Now, as I said, leopards, they do climb trees incredibly well, and they do lie up in trees. Now Liz, you say, thank you very much. You say it's a young male. That is the cub of Thandi, so thank you very much, Liz. All right, so it looks like it's still fairly young. It looks like it's probably 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months old. I'm not sure. And again, I can only see the head, so it's difficult to tell. I can't see the body. And as I was saying, leopards do climb trees very well, and they do lie in the branches of trees, but not that often. We've seen leopards many times lying on the ground because it is generally more comfortable for them. However, you do get times where they climb up into the trees, maybe to get away from flies. Also, if it's very hot, there's probably a nice cool breeze blowing through the trees, and this is just a wonderful, wonderful spot for them. That is really incredible. This is beautiful. I'm going to sit here for a little bit and see if they move around. And while I do that, hang on, the female's got a head up. Let's quickly have a look at the female. She Or she had her head up. What's she doing? There she is. Look at that. Let's just see. She's sharpening her claws. Look, everyone. Is she sharpening her claws or cleaning her claws a little bit? Just scratching on the tree. Let's put her head down again. Alright, I'm going to sit and watch them for a while. This really is a special sighting. Let's quickly head back to James with his butterfly, and then we'll come back. You'll come back to us shortly.
Now, we didn't move. Well, we moved slightly forward and then managed to pick up some more signal. What I would like you to take note of as the wind starts to blow there, they're not eating at all. And you can see that if you look at the one, see how close in you can get to the one on the right if you can there, Craig. That's it. That one and the one to the left of that one, far behind there, well, not far behind, just behind, you can see the proboscis is rolled in underneath the eyes. Can you see that sort of loop? That's the proboscis, or the sort of sucking straw that the butterfly is born with, that it sticks into the flowers and then sucks the nectar out. And it's rolled up underneath, so you can see there is no eating going on here. This is a conference of another sort, and I think it's a conference of love. It is too beautiful for words. I've never had a sighting like this before. You see one or two of these things and they flit by. We never get them on camera because they never sit still for long enough. My only sadness here is that I don't have a butterfly book with me, so I can't really describe any more of the biology than I have to you already. And we're just going to have to enjoy their astounding colours in amongst this verdant greenery that we find here as the great Mluamati River crosses over the Buffelshoek cut line. That's where we are here, right in that deep valley where we normally have no signal at all. And I think suddenly it's got cool enough and dim enough, the sun has dipped far enough to the western horizon for them to have decided that they've had enough for the day and they're going to settle for the night. Now remember, many of these insects can pick up polarized light. They can pick up the angle of the sun from how it's polarized in the atmosphere, and so they'll know the time, basically, is what I'm saying to you. And they've decided that it's time now to clearly chill out for the evening. And thank you all for your screenshots. I believe they're all wonderful. And I'm sure they can not be anything but wonderful, given the sterling job Craig is doing right now. Well done, Craig. Good job. B. Wilson, I will absolutely show you how large they are with a size comparison. They're about the size of a small hand. So let's say an average woman's size hand, that's about the size that they are. They're not very small. I'm just looking at my own hand now, thinking, actually, you know what? If you come back here, Craig's just going to gently move around here. They're probably about that big, so you can see my hand. So without me fingers, about the size of my palm, I suppose. Now, I'm not a very large man, of course. So slightly larger than an average-sized woman's hand, about the same size as a small-sized man's hand. Christopher, yeah, I think you're probably right. If you look back at those butterflies there, look at their leg structure. You say, is it true that they cannot walk? I have never seen one walk. I know that dragonflies, for example, are unable to walk. They definitely can't walk. And I think you'll find the same for butterflies. They're designed, their legs, for perching like they are there, and for holding on to each other. I mean, how they're managing to hold on there, I'm not sure, but they're certainly not designed to walk. Now, at the extreme end of that example, because we never get to see insects like this, the extreme end of that example would be a dragonfly, which has its back legs longer than the middle legs, which in turn are longer than the front legs, and when it flies, it holds them as a sort of basket underneath the abdomen, and they're used to catch insects, to catch their prey, and hold them in a basket. So, although they're legs and they do use them for perching, Their other main function is to act as a sort of mid-air basket or net for catching their insect prey. And if we look at the legs of these butterflies, I think they're probably almost exclusively used for perching, for being able to sit in that particular position lightly and, on a different plane. So the one on the far right there you can see is holding on a horizontal and vertical plane and remaining completely motionless. That is just too gorgeous. All right, we're going to move on from our butterflies now. Tayla has got something dead.
We've got a young buffalo that was, well, unfortunately eaten by the Ngahuma pride, and this is a sighting that both Jean-Andre and I actually had when I first started here. But what I did want to show you is lying beneath the buffalo. Let's move it. And I'm not going to touch this with my hands. Yes, look at all the things crawling around. And that's amazing. You should be able to see a bit of movement, which is the larvae from the carrion beetles. And then you can even see the exoskeletons. Can you see that? So they're getting bigger and bigger. And there's a carrion beetle. Come back here. You get out. There he is. I'm not going to touch him too much. Ew. Living away there. But they've been feasting upon this buffalo for many months now. And it's only looking like this now. And I don't think they've done a good job. We've seen a couple of other buffalo that they've completely cleaned out, almost removed the flesh right off of the bones. You can see there's still a bit of flesh over here, so they've still got a bit of work to do. I don't know how tasty that is going to be, unfortunately, but it's almost an intact skeleton. That's one of the first ones. I sure want to just turn the head a little slightly. Let's see if we can. Look at that. I'm going to just use my foot. Look at the bottom teeth. There's not many buffalo skeletons that you'll find where all the teeth are still intact. That is incredible. And this was quite a remarkable sighting. We didn't have all the Nkahumas here, and they were all calling each other. And it was quite interesting getting up. We thought that we were going to have a male come in, remember, but they didn't. This was a long time ago, so you've got to remember quite far back. Whew, that head is quite heavy. But there's something else I want to show you, and it's, well, a little bit more colourful than that old buffalo carcass. And there they are. Now I have a quiz. What fruit are we looking at? Which plant does it come from? It should be an easy one. We've been eating it quite a bit and everybody's been chatting about it. So send your answers through #SafariLive on Twitter or questions@WildEarth.tv. What is this? Jean-Andre, would you like one?
Not after you touch the skeleton.
It just adds flavour. I don't know what you're talking about. I only touch it with my one finger. It's so tasty. That is so nice. We're eating everything today. So this is another thing. I'll give you a clue. You can obviously eat it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be eating it if you could. What have we done today? We've done caterpillars. We've done grasshoppers. We've done marulas. We've done whiteberry. We've got this one. I ate the terrible wild foxglove leaf, which I will never eat again unless I'm absolutely starving. That was horrible. That didn't taste very nice. Herbie says you can also eat the leaves of the blackjack plant that we looked at too. We'll get rid of those. Grasshoppers. I think we said grasshoppers. You could eat the first one, but not the elegant grasshopper. You don't want to eat one of those. I think that wouldn't taste very nice. I'm just going to keep eating these until I get some answers as to what you think this is and what plant it comes from. Oh, but here's speaking of wild foxglove, here it is. Mario, thank you for your very hasty response. You've said, is it blueberry? Good guess though. Just spit the seed up. Very, very good guess. Blueberries would be a little bit bigger, and I don't know. Oh, hang on. Oh, okay, very good. Okay, I'm just thinking and listening at the same time. Sometimes it proves to be a little bit difficult. But I don't think we get any wild blueberries out here, but a good guess. Now, Judy H, who seems to be the record holder of Herbie points, has got it right again. You've said it's bird brandy. You're absolutely spot on, Judy H. Well done. I think you're on about 300 Herbie points now. So well done. All of you have got a bit of catching up to do as well. And of course it's delicious, and it's one of the lantana species. So we get two lantana species here. Of course, the lantana rugosa, which is the bird brandy, which is this one over here, and it's absolutely delicious, and it is indigenous, unlike its cousin Lantana camara, which has come all the way from South America and also used it as an ornamental plant, very much like the zinnia that we had a look at earlier, the red Mexican zinnia. And quite nice to have around. They're pretty to look at, but quite toxic. That plant, you won't see very many animals feeding on it, other than I've seen a black rhino once eating a Lantana camara, but it can cause a lot of poisoning to a variety of different animals, typically sort of domestic animals, so cows and goats and that. If they eat the Lantana camara, normally they don't come out of it alive, unfortunately. But I think we're going to keep walking into the sunset now and see what else we're going to find. I'm going to keep eating my fruits, which are so delicious. You're all missing out. Oh, that's so nice. Now, I walk in the rain. You were wondering, do we get dandelions? Seen as though we've been speaking about quite a few plants. I've yet to see a dandelion here. But I remember down south we'd see them occasionally blowing in, but I haven't seen any big ones. I think you suppose you sort of have to go to the cities and in the parks to see some of those, but they do blow in. And of course that's the whole design of a dandelion, is that sort of big cotton puff, I suppose you could call it, as it forms with all the little burrs and things in it. The wind takes it and blows it away for miles and miles. And of course they sometimes land here too. Now we're going to carry on walking. We're probably going to actually go up to the top of quarantine, and I think we'll probably end up with the beginning of a sunset. We're going to go across to James now, and like I said, he's had birds the entire afternoon. He's now found what a bird makes to lay its eggs in.
Now what a joy this is, because from the depression and abject misery of that cloudy part of the afternoon with the white-crowned shrike nest that was on the ground, here, as the sun comes out for the final time today, we have got the magpie shrike sitting in a nest. And it's a little one, probably just about to fledge, making the call of a little one. Unfortunately, I think Mum's probably tired of feeding this thing by now. Isn't that cute? Oh, it's wonderful. Look at the sunlight glinting off its little red eye. It looks so comfortable in there, and I've got to tell you, there's a chilly wind blowing, so I'm sure he's very happy to be in there. But you can see his tail's got a bit long, and so the nest isn't the best place for an adult bird like this to be. Now, well, almost adult bird. It's in a black monkey thorn tree. Now they build their nests in these black monkey thorns, or in buffalo thorns, or perhaps knob thorns as well, because those thorns will discourage, not completely, but certainly partially discourage snakes from climbing up into the trees, and jennets and African wildcats from climbing up into the trees and trying to get hold of the babies. Now you saw there as Craig zoomed out, it's impossible to see, isn't it? The only way we found it was because of the call that the little bird was making. That's really cool. Okay, we're going to drive up to the top of the hill here and get a view of the sunset. And while we do that, Byron, of course, still with Thandi, which means love, and she is still in her tree.
I am indeed still with this beautiful leopard and her cub. I'm so glad you get to see her. This is incredible. This really is amazing. What a wonderful sighting. Sure. They've been resting in the tree. There's beautiful golden light on them. That cub especially. And I wonder, again, I think they're up in the tree purely because they're trying to get out of or away from the flies, possibly. There are a lot of flies at the moment, and I think because of the rain that we had. And there's possibly a nice cool breeze up there, even though it is a cool afternoon. It's not hot at all. But again, they're wild animals. You never know why they do it. They just do it sometimes. I'm so glad that you got to see this with us. This really is, I'm so excited because this is the first time I've seen them. Now, David, you say how come Thandi's cub doesn't have a name? Now, David, I don't know if they've looked at naming him yet. I don't know. I haven't heard of a name. The thing is, we need to. It takes a bit of time, and to be honest, I don't know who names them. It's going to have to take a decision from most of the properties and the guides in the area, and that. I'm not sure, and I know. Some of you have watched me a few times. You know I'm not a big fan of naming the animals. So maybe I'm not the right person to ask. I do know it is nice to know which leopards we have in the territory and the area. And it is nice to know the lineage, where they come from and how they fit in to the area. But I still believe there's a little bit of wilderness we need to keep hold of. These are wild animals; they're not pets. So that is my opinion, though. And like I say, I've worked in areas. We know the names of leopards. We follow them, and it is for our benefit because we then know more or less which leopards are mating with who and what's going on. But usually we would refer to them based on their territory that they hold, rather than giving them actual names. But every place is different, and obviously for Safari Live it's nice because you get to see these animals on a more regular basis. For some guests coming out on safari, they'll see a leopard once or twice, if they're lucky, and they'll probably never see it again. Now with our viewers, you're very fortunate you get to see different leopards on a regular basis. Look at that. That is an incredible photograph. Hey? Wow, that is wonderful. I can't see what's in his mouth. I'm going to try look. I think he's just playing with the bark. Rian can see it a bit clearer than I can. I thought you were barking at the back there for a second, Rian. Give me a second. Sorry. I'll move in here. Okay. Just trying to make some space for some other people that are coming into the sighting. Right now, Taylor's going to be heading back to the camp. Is starting to get a bit dark, or the sun's setting. Let's quickly go say goodbye to her. Just kidding, don't go to Tayla just yet, stay with us. I think she just lost picture for a second. She's maybe crossing through a little drainage line perhaps. Well, that's alright, you just get to spend more time with us and the leopard. I can actually see that it's a young cub now. A young male, sorry, not a young cub. But it's a young male, just judging by the tail hanging over the edge. And you can see, as a tracker I used to work with often said, you can see the cooler box at the back. And he was obviously referring to the young male's genitalia that you can see with leopards, just under the tail. Oh, there's some doves that just landed in the tree, and that caught the attention of this young cub. Now, you must remember, these young leopards are very curious, very, very curious, and a bird for a young leopard is something wonderful to attract their attention. That female has settled down very, very nicely at the moment. She's still just off to the right of the tree. Like I said, it's interesting because it is quite cool. So, Laura, you say this cub is so photogenic. It is, although I must be honest, I have not met a leopard that isn't photogenic. I think they're all very, very beautiful animals. Exquisite cats. And in this dappled light that we've got at the moment, and a bit of golden on their coat, golden sunlight breaking through the trees. There we go. The doves got the attention of the cub again. Really is amazing. As I was saying, I don't know why they've decided to go and climb up into this tree. Purely just because maybe she's teaching the cub to lie up in the tree a little bit. You never know, because it's not hot. It's definitely not to stay cool. It's a lovely temperature, cool temperature. Okay, now I'm going to sit here a little bit longer, but James has got something beautiful he'd like to show you.
So beautiful, and it's a good way, of course, for us to sort of wind down our day after we began the day, of course, with the lengthy exposition of the sunrise. There it is, peeping down below the clouds. That's actually really quite pretty, isn't it? Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Marvellous stuff, that. Thoroughly satisfied with what I'm seeing there. So, although it hasn't been our day for big game, at least we have managed to catch a little bit of beautiful sunlight, some gorgeous birds, and the best butterfly sighting in wild earth history. I'll just wait for it to pop down all the way. God, that's just astounding, isn't it? Whew. Above us calls yet another magpie shrike. Gah, gah. And in the background, the odd Cokie Franklin. Choo, 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 choo. And very faintly you can hear the ring-necked dove. Proo, 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 proo. I might have to take a picture, Craig. Break the law again. I'm breaking the law quite a lot of late. Then I have one other thing to show you once I've taken my picture, which I'm not doing. I'm not taking a picture. Okay, now I've finished not taking my picture. There is something quite nasty on me. Now, I spoke of the biting flies earlier. There, everybody, on my right ankle is a biting fly, and despite the excruciating pain I'm experiencing right now, I have decided that I need to show you the biting fly. And it is biting me as we speak. You're also about to witness a kill. Craig, are you ready for the kill? Here we go, everybody. Oh. It flew off. It speaks English. I got a very worried no, James, from the final control. I don't know why she didn't want to see a kill anyway. Let's have one last look at the sunlight. Look at that golden light glowing through here. It's just too much. Can't believe I wasn't allowed to kill that thing live. I mean, surely it has no right to life. Vile thing. It has now owied me. Kirsten says it's just living its life. Well, I'm just living my life, you know. Alrighty, let's move on from here. We've got a little bit more time to try and find you something with a heartbeat, as opposed to something with a sort of bit of hemolymph flowing through it, like those butterflies have. And apparently we're going to link back to Byron, who has got leopards that are also just living their lives.
They aren't just playing around, but look at this. This cub is now biting some bark and very, very playful at the moment. It looks almost restless. You can imagine, just like anything that's young, very curious, inquisitive, and it's very playful. It's wonderful to see. This is such a special sighting. I'm so glad that you are with us and that you can view this with us. Hope you're all enjoying it. I'm sure you are. Now, I remember seeing, not too long ago, towards the end of last year, there was that footage of Thandi with her cub, that she went and attacked a black mamba that had bitten a brown snake eagle. I didn't see it, I just saw the footage, as I said, but isn't that incredible? Look at that, focused on its mother. I think he's just peering across the tree. Now, this tree, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a large albizia. And that's what this tree is. I think, yes, I think so. I'm just trying to see if... Sorry, I might just have to move if this vehicle is coming out. Are you coming out? Just give me a second, everyone. Just going to make space so this other vehicle can move out. While I reposition quickly, let's head back to James. He's got some Impala to show you.
They are alarm calling. One of them's alarm calling, but the rest of them looked like they were about to take off and do their little frolicking bit across this clearing. But the male is seriously displeased with life. Here they come. Look at this. Ah, that's what I was hoping to see. Oh, that's wonderful. Another one coming. Oh, stop doing it now. That little baby nearly concussed itself on a stick. I think the male was just trying to get them all this side. Now, I mean, it's mid-January now, so for us, the male to be being territorial over this herd seems very strange to me. And he was doing that little kind of grunt noise, which I've just poorly done for you, which is what they do during the rut, you know, when they're trying to keep the herd together. That was really special. I was hoping more of them were going to do it across this clearing. They've decided they're going to head into the woodland and have supper. Alright, Byron's got to leave the leopard soon, so let's head straight back to him for the last few minutes with Thandi.
I've just repositioned slightly, and you can see the female quite nicely from this angle. She's still lying up in the tree. She doesn't look like she's interested in moving at all. The little cub. We can't really see the cub from this angle now. Just actually, there's the tail. You can see it hiding behind the branch there. Oh, we've had such a wonderful, wonderful sighting of them. To see an eye through the bark. Well done, Rian. Look at that. Lovely. Now, there are a few other people that are very interested in coming to see this wonderful sighting, and we've been very fortunate to view them. And I think we're going to give someone else a chance to come and enjoy them while they're up in the tree. So we're going to move on. What a wonderful sighting. Hey, wasn't that fantastic? Lovely to see them. So I think we'll leave them now, give everyone else a chance, and hopefully they enjoy it as much as we did. I'm sure they will. Just going to have to turn around here quickly. That is such a incredible leopard sighting. Very, very special. Courtney in Texas, you want to know if it's an advantage or disadvantage for a leopard to grow up without a sibling. Courtney, to be honest, I don't think it's either, to be honest. I think it might, if anything, it might be an advantage, purely because that leopard does not have to share its food with another sibling, or the mother probably doesn't have to hunt as often. So I would say, if anything, it's probably a benefit or advantage rather. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I really don't think it affects him that much. The female, it all comes down to the female, whether or not she's a successful mother. That will depend. Excuse me. That will depend if the cubs are raised correctly and if they will be successful later on in life. It's getting a bit chilly. I just want to put a jacket on. Let's see if I can do it while I'm driving. It's always a skill. Hold on. Almost. I'm blaming the wheel alignment of Rusty. It's not particularly straight, as you can see. That's alright. Look at that. Multitasking, hey? I wonder what else we're going to bump into. What an amazing day. Leopards, sorry, I lied. Cheetah this afternoon, earlier on, and then leopards. We've been very fortunate. I think we called it right this afternoon to go exploring further east. We got lost a little bit, but don't tell anyone. We got lost a little bit this afternoon. Well, not lost. We just didn't know where we were. It's not the same. I knew which direction I was going, which is the important thing. Now, I'm going to head back towards Djuma. I'm not too far, but while I do that, let's head back to James Hendry and see what theatrics he's got on for us now.
No theatrics, everybody, just the sound, my favourite sound of the summer, the cicada. Isn't that cool? Beautiful. And they were very quiet, until 2 days ago when it started to get cold for some reason. Maybe they're in a panic that their season's going to be over before they thought it was supposed to. Well, they're living all over these marula trees, singing and singing to try and attract the ladies. That is, of course, why all of us sing. Some of us with more success than others. And then also, perhaps you can hear there, drive forward a bit. It's another lovely sound. I wonder if I can't find this thing for you. Oh, don't stop now. I think it's in this tree here. No, it's not. There's another one calling. Let's just be quiet for a second. I think it's a rain locust. I'm going to look in the tree here. Let's have a look. It goes. Not quite as bassy as that. Hello? Are you here? No. No, it stopped calling. It's obviously deeply afraid. And it's very, very well camouflaged. So well camouflaged that I can't not find it. Sorry about that. Many of you will have seen the crested locust with Steph. It looks very similar to that. Very brown coloured, fairly drab looking fellow, but makes a very nice summer sound. Something like that. Right, let us press on a little bit here. We're not too far from Q-teen clearings, where perchance, mayhaps, there will be that elephant that we saw 2 weeks ago, or last week, running around there, seemingly intent on chasing everyone else off his marula fruits. I'm forgetting what an elephant looks like. No idea what a buffalo looks like. Definitely don't know what a leopard or lion look like. As for a cheetah, well, they're but a figment of my distant imagination. What have you seen? The clouds. Right, Craig would like to show you the clouds. That is because the clouds are beautiful. How's that, Craig? Look at that, everyone. Isn't that lovely? Strange pink arrangement that hopefully heralds a nice warm day. Can you hear that? It's a very strange sound, that ha 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 in amongst the impala there. Let's just move forward. It was over there. Don't know what it can be. There's a little road here we'll nip across. Whoops. We'll just stop here and listen. It's the strangest noise. It was almost like a jackal's call, but not. And the impala didn't look vaguely concerned about it at all. Anyway, they look very comfortable and very happy here. Feeding in the shade, and they're feeding in the shade of those trees, especially the ones to the right-hand side. Those trees are the flaky thorns, because the panicum, the guinea grass, loves to grow underneath the leguminous acacia trees. In other words, because there's so much nitrogen under the soil there, or in the soil there, that's where the panicum likes to grow. And the impala there devouring the long leaves of Panicum maximum. Beautiful. I'm just going to do a little bit of a turn forward quickly. Yes, Susie, isn't it great? You say, isn't it great that you managed to see the sunrise and the sunset today? Yeah, I feel exactly the same, and that's why I'm so pleased that I get to do this kind of every day. It makes my days feel full, which is a wonderful feeling. I don't know if you know what I mean, but to have a full day. Up at dawn and busy until dusk, doing things that you love to do. Just going to pull into the clearing here because I think maybe that sound was there. I don't know what it could have been, though. We'll just have another listen. There's a big raptor on that tree there. I'm not sure we'll be able to identify it from here. But while we listen... Oh, I'm 99% sure that's a Wahlberg's eagle. Well, there's a very small piece of me. Yeah, it's definitely a Wahlberg's eagle. There was a very small, hopeful and unrealistic piece of me that thought, ooh, that looks like a bat hawk. Is that all the zoom we've got? Yeah. It's not. It's a Wahlberg's eagle. It's not a bat hawk. Bat hawk would be a really good one to see. And they are seen here from time to time. But a bat hawk, unsurprisingly, is an eater of bats. I'm not sure that they've ever been seen on Safari Live, however. Right, that strange sound has disappeared, so we're going to carry on from here. Make our way slowly back home. Just a few minutes drive. I might actually do a U-turn here. Turn here. It's not a U-turn, it's a 3-point turn. Right, that is going to be it from this part of the Sunset Safari. I'm going to greet you fondly with the sight of an arrow-marked babbler in high distress. There it goes. Well done, Craig. Now you've got it, at least. Thank you for bearing with us today on a very quiet day until the very end, which turned into be rather beautiful. I hope that you had a good time with Craig and I hope to see you tomorrow at 0500. Until then, Byron will be speaking nonsense to you until the close of the drive. Bye-bye.
James, I never speak nonsense. But thank you. Now, I really hope you've enjoyed this afternoon. It's been an incredible afternoon for Safari Live, I think. We've all enjoyed it. A lot going on, and it was so nice. I just got to see that beautiful sunset with James, all those little creatures with Tayla out on her walk. It really has been spectacular. And obviously us with the cheetah and the leopards. So hopefully tomorrow morning our luck continues and we get to see a few more creatures. Maybe the Nkuhuma pride arrive back. That would be great. I haven't seen them for 2 or 3 days. I think they're just in the north in Buffelshoek. We know that sometimes they cross all the way into the Manyaleti. That can happen at times. So you never know. They could appear back. Or maybe the Birmingham males could arrive back at any time when they're covering their territory, marking their territory. Just having a look if I can find little creatures to show you. Nothing just yet. I'm going to put that down for a second. I think my multitasking is wearing off, to be honest. But thank you very much to all our viewers again this afternoon. I really hope you've enjoyed it. It's been great to get all your questions and your comments. It really is amazing to have all of you, and we'll see you all again tomorrow at some point, either in the morning or in the afternoon for our Sunset Safari. Thank you to the voices in my head, or rather the ladies in FC, Kirsten and Lou, who were there this afternoon. Thank you, James and Craig and Tayla, and who was with James? I actually don't know. Gendre, and then from Rion and myself, thank you everybody. Good night, goodbye, we'll see you all tomorrow.